All right, gotta rearrange myself, make sure that everything's on you. Good morning. Relax it in. We're almost there. Good morning. It's freezing out. So bizarre, but I guess it's also kind of typical for the spring. 1 minute it's warm as can be, and the next it's freezing, but it is like cold. Like it's very sunny out, but so windy. So windy. Great, so we're gonna get started today. We just had Thursday, a full moon. It was our last full moon, super moon of the year, fourth and last. So big, bright, and if you guys know me, you know I'm into astrology, so it was a Scorpio full moon. And really, when it comes to the full moons, especially a full moon in a sign like Scorpio, which is known to have a lot of like deep, dark, mysterious qualities, it makes me think about working with our shadow side. And if you've never heard of the term shadow, it really is kind of just like encompassing or talking about the negative parts of our personality, the unsavory parts of our personality, jealousy, greed, anger, impatience, all of the things that like we don't necessarily want to admit that we do, and quite often, a lot of times we deny. ourselves. And if we think about just from a scientific perspective, what the moon does and how it becomes light, it's reflecting the sun. The moon itself is dark, and it's at its fullest, it has the most most light shining on its darkness. So it's illuminating the darkness of the moon for us. And in this way, energetically, full moons do that. They help to they bring up an energy of illuminating ourselves. And in Scorpio, this very mysterious sign, Scorpios, as you know, they're these beautiful, magnificent creatures with poison in their tails. So they're mysterious, they're dark, and that's like the quality and energy that's in the air right now. So this time, and even being in quarantine and having time to sit with ourselves, has given us the opportunity to get quiet and pay attention to different areas of ourselves that we were ignoring, quite frankly. And a lot of us do that. That's why we are so busy, or why we tend to be drawn to stuff to occupy our minds, is because it takes the attention off of our dark sides. And getting quiet and sitting in the illuminating light of yourself to shine lights on all aspects of your personality, good and bad, is hard work. It's hard to show up and meet them, but it's also very necessary. You know, the Scorpio, is magnificent and beautiful as it is, but the poison in its tail, if it's not conscious of that poison that it carries with it, it can easily sting and kill. Now, that sting and kill can be a conscious decision, and it's conscious if you acknowledge that aspect of yourself. But if you don't acknowledge it, it's unconscious and it takes over. So it's really about showing up and being able and willing to meet these dark aspects of yourself. And if this is all like whatever, from a pure physical standpoint in our practice, this is what it means. I, for the last 12 years as a teacher and a practitioner for over like 16 years, have been like very much into working with the Hayuragu, just really working into the strengthening aspects of the poses. And I've wanted to be more flexible, but and like my upper back totally stuck. But I've kind of ignored the back bending practice, ignored opening certain parts of my body, because they would bring up so much stuck energy for me. And therefore, I've never progressed in those areas of my physical practice because I've ignored them, because they've been too difficult and unsavory for me. And I'm now, in the last year, like really diving into those areas of my practice. And very quickly, I've seen huge changes. So you need to acknowledge the areas that you want to like shy away from in your life in order to grow as a person. Carl Jung says, and I love this quote, "How can I be substantial if I do not cast a shadow? I must have a dark side also if I'm able to be whole." So it's nothing to be ashamed of. We all have parts of ourselves and areas in our life that we want to avoid. But in order to feel whole, we have to own them. So we're going to, without further ado, I'm going to have you guys get on your back. We're going to start laying down, just connecting to the breath today. Taking supine Baddha Konasana, so the feet are going to come together, the knees will come apart, and you're just going to lay down and bring one hand to the heart, the other hand on top, and just start to connect to your breath here. Breathing in fully, becoming aware of the breath, trying to make the inhalation equal with the exhalation. Listening to the sound as the breath moves into the back of your throat. And as you lay here, hands placed on top of the heart, start to maybe just think of one scenario in the last week that maybe you found yourself in a position where you looked back and you're like, didn't exactly handle that entire thing the way that I liked, or I was being a real a-hole. And just kind of bring yourself into that place and acknowledge what about it, like reflect what about that scenario, that instance, did you not like about yourself? As you bring that into your mind's eye and you bring that into your consciousness here, I want you, with your next inhale, take a big breath, imagining the light flowing in as a green light of love and compassion into the solar plexus, into your heart. And as you exhale, I want you to release the negativity you have around yourself, around feeling about yourself, the way you feel being not the best version of yourself in that moment, in that instant. So you're breathing in love, acceptance, compassion for this unsavory aspect of yourself in this instance that you are bringing into your consciousness. As you inhale, you breathe in the love and compassion for this shadow side. And as you exhale, you release any and all negativity, static unforgiveness of yourself for having this dark aspect. Taking your next round of breath, inhaling one more deep inhalation, exhaling, pulling out through the mouth. And slowly, we're going to start to move. So taking your hands to either side of the knees, drawing the knees together, rolling onto your right side, coming up into tabletop pose. So we're going to start in tabletop, hands under the shoulders, wrist under the shoulders, close the eyes, take a breath, keep the arms straight and strong, upper body static, and then just wag the hips side to side. So upper body is not moving, it's just a small movement in the hips. The belly is drawing back, just feeling into the body. Remind me as I start my timer. Close the eyes again. Feel into the body. Breathe back to center. We're going to move into modified puppy pose. So the hips are going to shift back towards the heels. They'll stay lifted. Arms are long. So they're long and they're active. We're not just sinking down here with the arms flat onto the mat. They're lifted up. Eye of the elbow spins up towards the ceiling. So that's an external rotation of the upper arm. Belly stays engaged and back here. As we keep all of that strong, inhale the heart forward with your next exhale. Don't let the arms drop and sink the heart down towards your mat. Bringing the shoulder blades closer together. You feel them move closer together as the heart sinks and the arms stay strong. As you inhale, the chest lift up. This is a small movement. And then you exhale, move the heart down towards the floor. Inhale, heart up. Exhale down. We're staying here for a few rounds of breath. As you move, you're staying strong through the hands and arms. And with your breath, you're noticing any parts in the upper body right now that maybe feel stuck. And instead of meeting them with a negative view or denying the feeling, we're going to greet it with our breath, breathing in compassion, love, and the healing breath and oxygen into those areas. The only way we start to grow as a person is to bring illumination onto the darker parts of ourselves so that we can work with them and grow with them. All right, from here, we're going to transition towards down dog in like a quarter dog variation here. So the hips are going to come up, but the knees are going to stay bent so the shins are parallel to the floor. Your chest is kind of facing the tops of your thighs, and we're going to do those same pulsation moves with the breath and the upper body here. So the hips stay where they are. They're not going to move. The legs aren't going to move. You're going to inhale. The heart's going to push forward. As you exhale, the arms stay strong, and you pump the heart towards the tops of your thighs. Inhale, forward. Exhale, heart back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, heart back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, heart back. 2 more. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back. Keep the chest where it is. Come high onto the balls of the feet. Inhale, hip stays high. Exhale, heels start to lengthen down towards your mat. Coming into your first full down dog, close the eyes. Connect with the breath. Scan the body as you come into your first really weight-bearing pose on the arms. Noticing with the breath here, we're here so you can scan the body, so you can meet the sticky parts. And so that you can breathe directly into those spaces that you might want to run away from because they're just a little too stuck or a little bit more uncomfortable. Good. We're going to keep the hands as they are. We're going to inhale, turn the hips open to the left. You're going to bend the right leg. Try to flatten the left foot. Energetically press the floor away with your hands. So maybe the hips lift a little bit higher here. Getting a nice stretch through the lats, through the side, the outer edge of that left foot. Good. Inhale, turn back to center, down dog. Exhale, rotate the hips over to the right side. Straighten the left leg, bend the right. More extension out through the outer edge of that left leg, really getting into that hip. Press the floor away. You should feel the stretch in the lats behind the shoulders. Good. Inhale, come back to center, down. Good. Hips high. Belly back. You're going to walk your right foot in front of your left like you're on a tightrope. Your goal here is to try and get that right heel as close to your mat as possible, if not connecting it to the floor. Feeling a nice stretch through the right calf. One more full breath here. As you exhale, walk that right foot back. Take the left foot in front. Left heel works its way down towards the mat, stretching out the back of the calf. Good. Coming back to your down dog. Inhale, and as you exhale, walk your hands back towards your feet. Coming into a forward fold, ragdoll, elbow to elbow. Shins draw in towards one another. Rock the weight back until your knees are directly over your ankles. So one straight line, hips, knees, ankles. Good. Rock, maybe side to
side, keeping the legs strong and steady here. So steadiness in the lower body is going to create an opening and freedom in the upper body. Ready to take the hands down, come up on the fingertips, bend the knees. And so if you're working here and the hands don't easily come to the floor, you're going to stay with the bent knee variation as we move through everything. And you're only straightening your legs as much as you can while maintaining a flat back. We're not rounding over here to get into the pose. So for those of us who have straight legs, we're bending again here. And we're going to work from bent. And as we inhale, we're going to energetically, we're going to squeeze the inner thighs back, working the hamstrings to bring the legs more towards straight or completely straight. Exhale, bend. Inhale, work towards straight. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. One more. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten, or as straight as they go for you while maintaining the integrity of the alignment in the back. You're going to bend the right knee, straighten the left leg. Fingertips to floor. You can also work up on blocks here. The left hand's going to come in front of the right foot. Right hand to right hip. You want to make sure that this left hip stays back and doesn't start to twist with you. Left hip stays back, so hips are square to the front of the mat. Inhale, chest forward and long. As you exhale, you're going to twist over towards that right knee. One more breath here. Inhale. Exhale back to center. Switch the bend in the knee. Left knee bends. Right leg straightens. Right hand walks across. Inhale, heart pulls forward, long in the spine. Left hand to left hip. Exhale, open to the left. Good. One more breath here. Inhale, back to center. Knees are bent, hands to hips. Press through the feet. Rise all the way up. Tadasana, mountain pose at the top of the mat. Good. Inhale. Take the arms up overhead. Exhale. Bring the hands to clasp behind you. Now, as we work with clasped hands here, I want you guys to make sure that you're not hyperextending the arms. There should be a slight bend in the elbows so that you create a tone in the bicep and the tricep. And as we start to pick the hands and they move away from the sacrum, I want you to think of this action coming from a lengthening of the knuckles down towards the floor versus picking up. Because if you notice, if I just pick up, my shoulder drops forward, which we don't want. We want the shoulder back here. If I lengthen to move the hands away, see how the shoulders stay back. You're strong in your feet. The belly moves backward. Tailbone tucks under. One more breath here. Exhale. Release the hands. Shake, shake, shake. All right. We're going to step forward now with the right foot. Good. Right foot steps forward. We're going to be taking a shorter lunge here. And the left knee is coming directly under the left hip. Right knee directly over the right ankle. And really, once you get that alignment, I want you to play with rocking the weight back and forth and kind of getting the weight more into this right foot. So maybe that means coming more onto the toes of that left foot. So you're really stomping through the right heel and you're feeling the work in this right glute, right thigh, and we're stretching the left quad, left hip flexor. Tuck the tail under. Inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, hands out to the side. Wrap the right arm over the left, eagle arms. Heart up, belly back. Take 2 full rounds of breath here. Exhale, release the hands. Straighten the front leg. We're going to stay long here. Take the hands to the hips. Inhale, heart moves forward as we bow into ourselves. Fingertips are going to make their way down to the floor on either side of the right foot. If you're tighter here, work up onto blocks. If you don't have blocks, then you're going to want to put a slight bend in this right knee, but you're keeping the actions of working into the right hamstring by engaging the right quad muscles. Start straight. The back heel may be lifted. That again depends on the tightness of your calf. Inhale, we're long, right leg straight. Exhale, we're going to bend that right knee, not bringing it past the right ankle. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend the right knee. Inhale, lengthen. I'm taking my hands up just so you guys can see it. Right knee bend. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend. 2 more. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend. Place the hands. Inhale, lengthen that leg. Step the left foot up. So we're in our traditional pyramid pose. Both toes pointing forward. We're heel to heel, where you might need to go a little wider for balance. Hips stay square, so resist. The right hip wants to pull forward. Pull the right hip back. Inhale, heart forward. Exhale, fold into yourself. As we fold, we get into the juiciness of the right hip, right hamstring. Staying here for a moment and being still can be hard. So physically, if we're tighter in our hips, we want to fidget. If you've ever noticed you come into a pose and you're really, really tight in that area, that's when we get maybe a little nauseous. We start to fidget in the pose because it's hard to meet those sticky, darker, stuck parts of our physical self. In the same way, it's hard to meet and be quiet and receptive and open and honest to the darker aspects of our personality. The only way we open them is to breathe into them, to acknowledge them, and to work with them. Good. Inhale, look up, step the left foot to meet the right. Forward, fold, heart forward. Bend the knees if you need to here, or take the hands on the block. We're going to exhale. We're going to bend the hips. We're coming into Utkatasana, chair pose. Hips bend, tailbone tucks, hands sweep forward, coming up, sit back. Good. Belly draws in and back. Heart lifts forward. Make sure the weights and the heels and the shins stay pushing back as they start to creep forward there. You want to move them back. We're holding for 3 more breaths. With every exhale, can you sink the hips a little bit lower? Good. 1 last breath. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, fold forward, swan dive. Inhale, up, heart forward and up, hands place down, and we step back to plank pose. Bring the knees down. I'm going to move further with modified chaturanga here. If you want to, you can go right into the full thing. Shoulders back, belly roots back. Exhale, bend the elbows, coming all the way down. Chest and chin, butt and booty stays up. Lengthen the tailbone, scoop the tailbone under, then straighten the legs. From here, we're going to walk the hands out in front of us into Sphinx pose. So as we come into Sphinx, I want you to really focus on rooting through the wrist. As you press the wrist into your mat, notice you immediately engage the rhomboids, the muscles in between the shoulder blades. And that's what we want in our forearm poses, in our back bending poses. We want to be engaging those upper back muscles to open up the front of the body and the chest. So energetically, you pull the hands backward, you root through the wrist, and as you inhale, the heart pulls forward. Keep the heart pulling forward. Keep the shoulders on the back. Press through the hands on an inhale. Come up, seal pose. Good. Exhale, lower the forearms back down. Take the hands to either side of the chest. Come up onto bridge top, fingertips. Make sure you're pressing the tops of the feet down. Butts engaged. You feel the knees draw away from the floor. Belly pulls back. Inhale, pull the heart forward through and up, coming up. Cobra on ridge top. See, the shoulders are moving away from the ears and back. They're not here, we're here. If that means you need to lower down more, do so. One more breath. Exhale. Good. Place the hands on an exhale. Take the hips back, downward facing dog. Moving to our second side, take a deep inhale, exhale, walk the hands back, forward fold at the back of the mat. Coming back into our twist, you're gonna start with bent knees. This time we're gonna straighten the left leg. Keep the right leg bent. Inhale, this time we're gonna twist towards the straight leg, so we're twisting towards left. Inhale, open. Exhale, inhale, come through center, bend the left knee, put the left hand flat in front of it, and then as you exhale, open to the right. Inhale, come back through center, switching sides, bending the right knee, opening up to the left. On an exhale, inhaling back through center, bending the left knee, opening to the right. Good, one more round, bend the right knee, open to the left, exhale. Inhale back through center, last one, bend the left knee, open to the right. Inhale back through center, knees are bent, hands to hips, press through the feet. Inhale, rise all the way up. Tadasana, hands to your side. All right, we're gonna step forward, like I said, second side. We've got the left foot forward, right knee comes under right hip. You're bending both knees. Left thigh is parallel to the floor. Good. Inhale, we'll take the arms up overhead. Exhale, take the left arm in front of the right. Elbows move up. Tailbone, remember, the more the tailbone tucks, the more you're gonna feel this into the top of your right hip flexor, the front of your right thigh. That's where we're aiming to get into. We're opening up the fronts of the legs here to give an openness, inner receptivity, so we can sort of work into our back and then open the heart. So you gotta engage the back of us, the part of us that we tend to ignore, in order to open and create freedom in the front part of our bodies. One more breath here. Good. Exhale. Straighten the left leg. Stay long in your stance. Hands to the hips. Inhale, heart forward. Exhale, bend at the waist. Take your fingertips to the floor or onto blocks. Exhale. You're going to bend the left knee. Inhale, straighten the left leg. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten, 3 more. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Last one, exhale, bend. This time as we inhale, straighten, we're gonna step that right foot coming into our traditional pyramid pose, shorter pose. Toes pointing forward, both heels down. Up onto fingertips on either side of the left foot, or you use your blocks. Heart pulls forward on an inhale. You keep the length in the spine. As you exhale, lengthen the heart towards the top of your left foot. Folding in. Meeting the sensations with the breath, with the rest with a receptivity. Good. And as we inhale, we're going to step the right foot up to meet the left. We'll drop the hips. This time, as we exhale and bring the hips down, hands up, we're going to lift the heels, drawing the shins in towards one another for stability here. As the heels lift, we free up more space in the upper body so we can cut the tail under, and maybe we can sink the hips lower on your exhale. We're holding here for 3 more long, deep breaths. Try and use every exhale as an opportunity to sink deeper into those darker areas, the harder areas of the pose. And every inhale, you bring in the breath to meet those areas, to open them up, to start to work into them. Inhale, press through the feet, keep the heels lifted, come all the way to rise. Exhale, heels lower, close the eyes, bring the hand to the heart, feel the heart pumping, feel the blood moving through you, and notice the energetic shift. One more full breath. Exhale, release the hands. Inhale, take the arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Place the hands, step back for plank. We've got a 1-minute plank hold here. Draw the inner arms in towards your rib cage like you're hugging a tennis ball. This action really fires up the lats. You're keeping the hips in line with the shoulders. Lengthen the tail. If you want to make this a little bit harder for yourself, you're going to walk the feet back a few inches. Everyone, energetically, we're splitting the energy from our pelvis. So from the top of our hips, on our exhale, we feel the energy get long out through the crown of our hips. And from our hips down to our feet, the energy splits backwards to the wall behind us. Good, you've only got 20 more seconds here. If you need to bring the knees down, do so. Whatever keeps the integrity of the alignment, you don't want this to start happening. If that starts to happen, bring the knees down. We have 10 more seconds. We're almost out. Ooh, 5, 4, 3, 2. Take a big inhale and exhale. Lower down, chaturanga. And good. Bring the hands, stay on the belly. We're going to come into Shalabhasana variation. Hands are going to come out behind us, palms facing in, thumbs pointing down. Again, notice you want to make sure that the shoulders aren't dipping forward. They're lifting up. Inhale, pull the heart forward. Tone the butt, knees lift away from the mat. Working the actions of the lower body. Inhale, pull the heart up, and we're going to pulse the hands in towards one another for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep the heart lifted. Bring the hands forward. Place them on either side of the chest. Tuck the toes. Inhale, press the floor away, keeping the shoulders engaged. Hips come back, downward facing dog. So we just reversed through a push-up, back into down dog. Good. Inhale, pick up that right foot. Bend the right knee as you exhale, pull the heel in. Open the right knee out to the side. Make a little circle, clockwise, then reverse it. Good, and then on your next inhale, we're going to bring that right foot forward. Hands are going to come to the inner edge of that right foot. Right leg stays high. We're coming into high lizard lunge here. If it's too much, go ahead, bring the left knee down. Walk the hands out in front of you. So we're still going to work on this splitting of the energy here. You're pulling the outer right hip back. You're energetically pressing the mat away from you with your fingertips like forward. As you exhale, you send the hips back in space. Good. Get more tuck of that tailbone here. to get in and start to feel it more into the top of this left thigh. Good, one more breath. Maybe walk the hands back in a little bit for stability. And then we're gonna untuck the back toes. So now we're on the top of that left foot. Being here, as soon as I untuck it and get on the top of my left foot, I immediately start to feel it into this hip flexor. We're gonna hold here. If you need more space, if this feels really tight, you're gonna come up onto blocks. If this is no issue for you, you might even want to start to lower down onto fingertips and really get into this quad. One more breath here. Good. Inhale, retuck the back toes. Good. Take both hands to either side of that right foot. And on an inhale, we're coming up into crescent pose. Good. Right thigh stays deep. Right knee over right ankle. Really press down into that right heel, rooting the foot down. Sinking low. Good. We're going to turn ourselves over to the left side. So we're in a wide forward fold position, the side of our mat. Inhale, pull the heart forward, take the hips back, fingertips come to the floor in front of us. We're going to spin the right toes out. We're going to bend the right knee. And we're bowing into ourselves right now, which is what I want, is like a reverence to all aspects of ourselves. So we bow in to the good, to the bad, and we appreciate all areas. We bow in, we get our seat back, our left thigh moves back. We keep the right knee wide, stacked over, directly over the right ankle. We're going to start to walk our fingertips towards the right foot. We're making our way into side angle pose. So getting yourself ready. If you need a block comes to the outer edge of the right foot, or the right forearm to right thigh. Left hand is going to go up overhead, bicep in line with the ear, palm facing down. Keep that left thigh rooted back. The left thigh stays back. The right seat moves under. Good. As you exhale, think more length out through that outer left hip, out through the outer edge of the left foot. One more long breath here. Good. We're going to, on an inhale, straighten that right leg. Left hand comes up, fingertips pointing straight up now. Can you even play with possibly walking your right fingertips closer to the front edge of your mat, getting lots of space through the sides of the right waist. One more breath. Windmill the left hand down. Walk the hands to the inner edge of the right foot. Spin the right toes back in. Walk the hands towards center. Take the hands to the hips. We're going to actually turn the right toes back out on a slight angle. So it's not your side angle foot. The feet aren't parallel. It's kind of at like a 10 o'clock position on your mat. And we're going to bend into the right knee, pull the left toes up. Hands are going to come to the heart, and we're going to be in like a high surfer variation. If this feels really unstable to you, use a block for stability. Maybe take the fingertips to the floor. But for the rest of us, hands are at the heart. You're energetically pulling the heels towards one another for the stability. As you exhale from your pelvis, you send that same energy back out to perhaps get lower. One more breath here. Good. Inhale. Press through that right foot. Place the left toes down. Spin the left foot down so that the outer edge of the left foot is parallel to the back of the mat. Spin the right toes back towards the front edge of your mat. Take your hands to frame the front of the right foot. Spin off the back heel. Step back, plank. Exhale, lower down, move through your vinyasa. Exhale, hips come back. Second side, inhale, pick up the left foot. Take the left knee forward to the front of your mat. We're going for our high lizard lunge. Right knee stays lifted, or it comes down to, for stability, hands are to the inner edge of that left foot. You're gonna walk the fingertips out in front of you, get long. Energetically press the mat away, take the hips back. Diving into yourself, staying open with the breath. The ickier it feels, the more receptive and the deeper we have to get with our breath to meet it, to flood those areas of our body with oxygen, be open to them, and kind of put a dampening on the negative talk around the tight spaces. Inhale, walk the hands back in. We're going to come to the top of that right foot now. Make sure that left knee doesn't creep forward. The more you kind of inch that right foot back, tuck the tail under, the more you'll start to feel it in to that hip flexor on the right side. Good, one more breath here. Good, inhale, retuck the toes of your right foot. We're spinning now the toes over to the left. So we're coming to that wide forward fold on our mat. Good. Working into our standing series on the left side. So here, we're going to turn the left toes forward. The right foot is going to stay exactly where it is. And we're going to start to walk our hands, keeping the groin deep, that balance, got our butt back. We're keeping that back, our butt back as we walk our hands all the way over to our left foot. And eventually bending the left knee, bringing the hand to the outer edge of the left foot, or forearm onto thigh, or hand to block. Right arm sweeps overhead, bicep in line with the ear. Same thing here. Get lots of length through the left side body. If your hand's on the floor or on a block, walk the fingertips of the left hand forward more. Keep making sure that right hip doesn't want to pop forward. As you do that, keep the right hip back. Left tailbone scoops under more. One more breath in. Help squeeze the left quad as you straighten the left leg. Right arm lifts up, triangle pose. Good, one more breath here. The left toes are gonna spin in a little bit. So they're now pointing at about like a 1 o'clock position on your mat. You're gonna come up, energetically squeezing the feet towards one another, getting the inner thighs active and strong, hands to heart. We're gonna come into that surfer's lunge again. You're gonna bend into that left knee, the right heel. You're gonna spin onto your right heel. The right toes are gonna point up, and we're dropping in here. The more you pull your feet towards one another, the more stability you'll find in the legs. And that stability, as you exhale, allows the pelvis, the groin to drop down and find that opening. And one more breath. Inhale. Press through that left leg. Take the right toes down. Spin your left toes back into your forward fold. We're gonna come now through back to our forward fold at the middle of our mat, hands to hips. Inhale, fold in, lengthen the crown of the head forward, take the seat back. Hold in, inhale, press through the feet, come all the way up, heel toe the feet in a little bit, spin the toes out, Take the hands to the heart. Exhale, drop the seat down. Goddess pose. Tuck the tail under more. As you tuck the tail under, see if you can widen the knees more, really deepening into the groin. And as you exhale, take the hips lower. And inhale, press up, heel toe the feet in. Inhale, exhale, hop, wide, spin the right toes forward, keep the left toes as they are. Outer edge of the left foot parallel to the back of your mat. Inhale, hands overhead. Exhale, bend the right knee. Spin off the ball of the left foot. Take both hands to the inner edge of that right foot. Left knee is gonna come down. As you bring that left knee down, once it meets the mat, try walking that knee back just a tad so that you find yourself where the kneecap and the bottom of the thigh meet. That's where the pressure is. Untuck the left toes. Walk the right hands on to the top of the right thigh. Again, you're going to energetically drag both feet inward. So scissoring action of the legs in. You see my pelvis actually pick up for a minute. I hug in, my navel draws back, I tuck my tail under. I keep that drawing in action, but as I exhale, I extend the energy out through my right knee. So it's like I'm trying to push my right knee forward, but it doesn't actually move. And I try to push my left knee back on my mat. And that brings my hips down and I get in here really nice and deep. Good, you're gonna inhale, bring the left arm high. You're gonna take your right fingertips out to the side. They might not meet the mat here. So you might just be lengthening out through the right fingertips, trying to reach for the floor. If your hand meets the floor, you're gonna start to walk the right fingertips out to the right as you reach the left fingertips over to your right side. Really opening up through this whole right side of the body into the psoas muscle, into the hip flexor, these really dark, juicy places in the body that hold a lot of emotion that we often tend to ignore, that I ignored for 12 years, that I'm admitting to, really opening up into here. Good, inhale, bring the right arm up overhead. Bring that right hand down. We're going to come now. We've got a lot of opening on this left side of the quad. So we're going to come in to a nice, juicy quad stretch. I want you to exhale, pull the heel in. So you pull the heel in, feel the hamstring fire up. So we're actively engaging the hamstring right now for an opening. Now we're going to go from that active pose, walk the hands up if you feel stable. If you don't feel stable, you can keep your right hand down on the floor or onto a block. You're going to take your left hand, reach back, turn the palm so that the thumb points down, and you're going to reach for the outer edge of that left foot. Notice here, think length, get left shoulder back, heart forward. Inhale, press the foot back into the hand. And then as you exhale, bend that left elbow as you pull with your breath the foot inward towards your seat. Once you have it where it feels comfortable, I want you to re-square your shoulders to the front of your mat. So inhale, as you exhale, twist the heart forward, squaring the shoulders and hip to the front of the mat. If you feel stable, maybe you take that right hand behind you to also bring it into the game. Good. Elbows are pointing up. Heart is open. Good. One more breath. As you exhale, release the right hand first. Then release the left hand, but don't let that foot swing back. Engage the hamstring. Squeeze the heel in. Maybe the hamstring's cramping, and then exhale, lengthen. Press through the right foot. Pull the right heel back. We're going to come into a quick counter of this runner stretch, hands to either side of the right foot, heart pulls forward, exhale. I don't know about you guys, but my legs are quivering as you fold in. Take a breath here. Good, inhale, come up. Plant the right foot flat. Pick up the left knee. We're gonna spin our toes back towards center. Hands to the hips, lengthen out the crown of the head, press through the feet, come up. Turn, heel toe the feet in. Turn the toes out, goddess pose again. Drop your seat. Press through the feet, especially through the outer edges of the feet. Get the knees wide. Tuck the tail. Exhale, can you drop lower? Good. 2 more full breaths here. Inhale, press through the feet. Come up. We're going to spin the right heel out. Left toes point to the back of your mat. Bend the left knee. Spin onto the ball of the right foot. Bring the hands down. Bring the right knee down and get it situated again. Remember, wherever you bring it down, scooch that knee back more. Get long. Untuck the toes. Good. Inhale, walk the hands up onto the left thigh. Good. Energetically, we scissor the feet towards one another. We get a lift up from the support. We keep that support. Rib cage stays pulling back. As you exhale from your pelvis, you think like you're trying to push that left knee forward and the right knee back, and the pelvis comes down. You notice neither the knee or this knee actually physically move back, but just that energetic thought of working into those areas and activating the energy into that area created the expansion. So I met the tightness, I acknowledged it, and I created freedom and opening for a change. Good. 1 more breath here. We're going to take that the right arm up. Left hand's going to come out to the side of your body, so either onto the floor, onto a block. You're lengthening out through the left fingertips. If they're on the floor, you're maybe walking it out and you're reaching out through your fingertips over to the left side. Getting a nice deep stretch into the right side of the body. 1 more breath here. Take that hand down. All right, we're going to work into the back bend now. Walking the hands up, you can take your left hand to a block for stability. With your exhale, I want you to bend that right knee, that right heel in. Engaging the hamstring. We're holding it there for a second. Reach the right hand out in front of you. Reach back. Palm spins. Thumb points down. Grab the outer edge of the foot. Elbow lifts up. As the elbow lifts up, don't let the shoulder drop forward. Inhale. Pull the shoulder back. Open the heart. Square the chest forward. Pull the outer left hip back. Pull the right shoulder forward. Grab a hold of, possibly if you feel balanced, you're going to take the left hand, reach back, grabbing that heel in, pulling it further. Keep energetically hugging in. With every exhale, you send the energy back out from the pelvis, out through the left knee and out through the right knee, getting length, finding opening. It is uncomfortable here for me. So this is really where I want to fidget and breathe. And this is when I need to show up with my breath, when I need to acknowledge the sticky parts. 1 more breath. As you exhale, slowly release the foot. Keep squeezing that heel in, activating as you inhale, lengthen it back long. And take the hands to the inner edge of that left foot. Spin the right heel down, walk the hands back to center. And as we exhale, we're going to fold in. countering our back bend here. Inhale, lengthen. We're going to twist. So we're going to walk our hands over to the right side. Maybe you grab a hold of the right ankle. Maybe your hand's still just more to the right, but in the center of your mat. Start with your left hands on the floor, walking over to the right side, right hands on the right hip. Inhale, get long first. Then as you exhale, resist pulling this left hip forward. The left hip needs to stay back. And as you exhale, you twist the heart open to the right. Find your deepest point. Breathe into it. Energetically, the feet are pulling in towards one another as you exhale again from the pelvis. Extend back out, stamping through the outer edges of the feet even more. As you do that with every exhale, maybe you find a deeper expression of the pose. Good. One more big breath. Inhale. Come back to center. Lift the heart up. Pull the heart forward. Exhale. Fold in. Start to walk the right hand over to the left foot. Both hands walk over. And left hand to left hip. To start, inhale, pull the heart forward. And then keep that length as you exhale. Keep that outer right hip back. Take the heart forward. Twist open. Big breath at the top. Good. Exhale. Both hands back to center. Inhale, pull the heart forward and through. Heel toe the feet back to the center of your mat. Drop the seat down. Oh, and lay onto our backs. We've got one more. I'm going to just work a little bit of ab work. So we're going to lay onto our back. Extend the feet straight above our heads. So we did just counter our back bending and we got in our twist, but just this action, if you ever are in a rush or need to run out of class after doing a deep back bend, just stay for a few breaths, feet stacked over knees, over hips. And this is a great counter, really breathing into the belly here. So from this counter now, I just want to have us work, just get a little bit of ab work in today. So we're going to keep the legs as they are. And we are going to interlace the hands behind the head, keep the shoulders wide. And I'm going to do the count of 50. We're going to do 50 crunches together. We all got this. If you feel strain in your neck, I do not want you to have the hands behind the head. Instead, I'm going to tell you to keep the hands out in front of you, lift the upper shoulders, and pulse by reaching forward with the fingertips. So those are your two options. Pulsing, reaching forward with the fingertips, or keeping the hands clasped behind the head. The hands don't yank into the head. The head is weighting back into the hands and keeping the shoulders open. That is the difference. So when you guys are ready, we're going to start. When we get to 50, on the exhale, we're going to slowly lower the legs down with so much control, and then we're just going to fall out into our Shavasana. So it's one last big prep push. We're going to meet the darker aspects of ourselves towards the end of the 50 when we want to give up, and that's when we really need to breathe into it and confront the negative talk that tells us we can't. As you're ready, here we go. Almost there, 10 more. Inhale. Inhale, hold at the top. Exhale, slowly lower the feet with control, making their way down to the mat. Total control. And then when you reach the bottom, exhale fully and just melt into the mat. Opening up the feet, the arms, the chest. Start to deepen your breath. And as the awareness flows back into the body with the breath, just start to scan again how you feel physically, energetically. Bringing that awareness to the physical self and starting to bring small movements, wiggling the fingers, toes, rolling out the ankles or the wrist. And eventually on your next inhale, I want you to take the arms overhead, giving yourself one last long, full stretch on your mat. And with your exhale, you're going to draw your knees into your chest, giving your shins a hug and rocking on the spine back and forth, side to side, massaging yourself out, giving yourself a hug. And eventually, as you are ready, roll to your right-hand side and pause for at least one full breath before you make your way up to a comfortable seat. As we start to come back to our seat, making sure the legs are crossed, bringing one hand under the other on front of the heart. And I want you to thank yourself here for showing up for yourself today, for meeting physically in your practice the hard parts with your breath when you want it to pull out, when you want it to fidget, and for acknowledging and being brave enough to be conscious at the beginning of class of a moment in time when you found yourself bringing the shadow into the relationship, into the equation, into the scenario of your week. And I invite you to continue that practice of once a day just pausing and reflecting on a scenario in the day in which you acted in a way that wasn't exactly something you're proud of. And greeting that acknowledgement with acceptance, with love and compassion. Remember, as Carl Jung said, how can we be substantial if we do not cast a shadow? We must have a dark side in order to be whole. And in order to be whole, even if we have that dark side, we must accept it so that we can learn to work with it, so that it doesn't control us, so that we can be beautiful, beautiful creatures with that poison inside of us, like the Scorpio, but we know how to direct it in the way that is more beneficial to us. The light inside of me bows to the light in each and every one of you. Namaste. Thank you guys for joining. Please, share. The video link stays up on my YouTube channel. So if you like the classes, you can share the links with your friends and let them know where they can find some of my practices. And if you guys have any requests, leave them in the comments. Have a wonderful Saturday. Bye.